Hi, everyone, and welcome to Bullish on Business, the podcast where we talk about business, jobs, and innovation. Today's guest is Francis Tex Criqui. Hey, how you doing today, Tex?
I'm doing just fine, Rose.
It's
Anxious to
good to
talk to
see
you.
you. Oh, yeah, I'm excited. Well, I got to tell you about Tex here. He is a veteran startup mentor, innovation strategist, former mayor, and one of Northern Michigan's most respected advocates for entrepreneurship and economic development. Following a 40-year career with General Motors, Tex went on to lead engineering and management consulting initiatives while helping shape Michigan's innovation ecosystem through Lawrence Technological University's I-Core program and startup commercialization efforts. Over the years, he has worked with nearly 400 startups, coached more than 100 companies in early stage operations, and helped entrepreneurs evaluate commercialization potential, patents, and strategy, and scalable growth. So Tex currently serves as a mentor with TC Score and is deeply involved in the entrepreneurial community at 20 Fathoms. Well, you'll see him there quite frequently if you go to that in Traverse City. Now, well past his 70s, he's launching his newest venture, the North Coast Jobs Factory, a bold initiative focused on helping startups move beyond the excitement of the initial idea and into sustainable growth, job creation, and long term execution. His four-step framework, which we're going to get into, discover, define, develop, deploy, is designed to help founders answer the critical question every entrepreneur eventually faces: what do I do next? Tex is especially passionate about the future of Northern Michigan's blue economy water and believes that freshwater research and innovation center could become a major catalyst for innovation in our region. Here's Tex. What a great background.
I think you should be in PR.
Well,
I,
you
I didn't
you are
hardly, I didn't
easy
hardly recognize all that.
you are easy to talk about. You have such a rich background.
Well, I like to say I'm a mile wide and about 2 feet deep, as opposed as about two feet wide and a mile deep. So I'm a jack of all trades, but a master of none.
I don't believe
Right.
that, not for a minute.
Okay.
So tell us, before we get into all of this, tell us what about you as a person. What makes you tick? What, you know, I know you told us a story when we were at the podcast. So I know you have some rich class a couple of weeks ago. And I really enjoy your stories. So tell us a
Oh, you
little
mean
bit of,
my first entrepreneurial experience?
yeah, something.
Yes.
Give us a
Okay.
little background on you before we start getting into the
Okay.
nitty gritty. Because,
Well, at that time, I was in I think either sixth grade or seventh grade, in the summer between those grades. I'm not sure exactly when, and it was in the mid '50s, and the Mackinac Bridge was not in place, and so there were ferry boats to take cars back and forth across the straits. So if you wanted to get from the lower peninsula to the upper peninsula, or vice versa, you had to take one of these boats. And in the summertime, during the tourist sessions, they would get backed up, sometimes as much as 12, 14, 15 hours. You'd sit there. They had these huge parking lots. And I lived about maybe 6, 8 blocks from the docks. And I would get my little red wagon, my little American Flyer red wagon, and I would put my red Coca-Cola cooler in it, and I would stop at the little grocery store as I went towards the docks, and I would buy bottles of soda pop and pieces of dry ice to keep it cold. And I would go up and down the aisles in this parking lot selling my soda pop. And it was 10 cents a bottle in those. That shows you how old I am, right? 10 cents a bottle, and I would sell it for a quarter, um, which was really kind of nice.
Huge profit margin.
Well, you haven't heard the best yet. So I did this for I don't know, maybe a week or so. And I noticed that the business picks up significantly when you're behind the guy with the smoked fish, right? Because he'd be selling smoked fish.
So
So
let me picture this, Tex. There's a line of cars, and these people are
no, there's
waiting.
you've been to like a football game in the stadium parking lot.
Right.
It's like that.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
all kinds of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cars,
Wow.
all
Wow.
lined
So
up,
it's
right? Yeah,
like this. Oh my gosh.
yeah. This is just a huge parking lot,
My
and
gosh.
of course, you're trapped there, right? I mean, you
Right.
can't if you're in the car. I mean, you're just sitting waiting for your turn
For hours.
for hours and hours. Yeah, um, and so you get hungry and you get thirsty,
Hmm.
and so again, selling the sodas was pretty good, um, but I noticed that when I followed the smoked fish guy, business got bigger, right? And so what I would do then is I would watch where the smoked fish guy went, and then about 10 minutes later, I'd come down that aisle, but the pop was then $1.
Oh, there you
So
go.
yeah, and I'd get 20, 25 bucks, and I go home. You know,
Yeah.
that kind, because then those, in that day, that was a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you're in the seventh or eighth grade.
Oh,
So
sure. Oh,
anyway,
sure.
that was
So you got
my
your
first.
feet wet in entrepreneurship
Yeah.
and
And
like this
innovation, right?
innovation, and you
Seeing
found their
opportunities.
pain. You found the
Yeah,
pain point.
yeah, yeah,
Salty fish.
yeah. You bet.
Very cool.
It
I love that so
works
much.
wonderful. Yeah.
Wonderful. So cool. Very, very, very good, exciting beginning. And so here's a good one for you. Tell me how you approach, let's say, a brand new person who has an idea and you have an inkling that it's a pretty good idea. How do you, and let's just pretend it's through TC score. You might,
Okay.
yeah, let's just take an example of somebody who you think has got some potential. How do you work with that person?
Well, you've heard of who, what, when, where, why, and how,
Hmm.
right? As a way to just discuss
Sure.
a problem. I use that as an initial start, right? Tell me who needs it, why, right, and how you're gonna get to it. And um, a lot of times that is kind of a little bit more than they are, a little bit beyond the idea stage, right? They don't really have a good answer. And I tell them that I don't know is a good answer at that stage, right?
Sure.
Real early on, you're not supposed to know everything, because if you look at the typical first time entrepreneur, and you draw a persona of the early entrepreneur, they've never managed anything bigger than their own personal checkbook, right? They've never done any kind of business. Oh, they've never set up some sort of a production line or supplier evaluation. Don't have the faintest idea about financial management and bookkeeping and taxes and business structures and all of that kind of stuff. Yet in 6 weeks or 10 weeks, we're going to turn them into CEOs, right?
Right.
That's just nonsense. But if you can systematize that journey, it makes it a lot easier for them, particularly if they've got a great idea.
Hmm.
So that's a long-winded answer to your question.
No, I think it makes perfect sense. It reminds me of when I was working with my team. I became familiar of that who, what, where, when thing
Yeah,
by that Rudyard Kipling
yeah,
poem that goes, I have six honest serving men. They taught me all I knew. Their names are what and where and when and how and why
yeah,
and
yeah,
who.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
love that. And
yeah.
that was the one way I could memorize it. And so, do they get a little bit defensive if they're not prepared? How do you quelch their
I
doubt
just,
in
I, no,
themselves?
I just tell them that now this is all kind of like my score work, right? I just, I just kind of tell them, you relax and talk to me, right?
That's nice.
Don't worry about if it's going to sound funny or it's not, because when you tell me that I don't know, that tells me that okay, that's an area we got to put some attention on, right? So you just kind of um, quantify where they are and kind of try and set a baseline. And
Understand, yeah. So, what separates startups that survive from the ones that stall out, unfortunately?
well, if you look at the data of where venture capitalists have invested in companies and all of that kind of stuff,
Hmm.
you see, depending upon which report you're looking at, somewhere between a 70 and a 80% failure rate. And for some reason, that's deemed acceptable. I mean, I don't understand that, where only 20% of the people or 30% of the people become successful. And it's it's primarily due to a couple of things. First, of course, is that they don't have enough customers. Um, but more important is for what I'll call the founder is that the persona that I just described, they need support for a long period of time, not not just 6 weeks
Hmm.
or 10 weeks. So uh,
How do you feel about like having a colleague do it with them? Like if they come with a buddy,
well, that makes it a little more complicated.
does it?
But well, yeah, because you get into who's going to be in charge of the company. You got to get to one person making decisions to start with, right?
Right.
And so you got to have some kind of agreement going in, um, and I think it kind of complicates the thing if you're going to have co-owners.
Hmm.
Now, if one guy is clearly in charge and the other is just kind of working for him and helping him out, or maybe is even hired by him, then that's great, right?
Mm.
Because,
So that hierarchy is already determined.
well, yeah, it has to be
Right.
if you're going to go anywhere successfully, because you have to get that all resolved before
Hmm.
you get started. Because once you get into the mix, you no longer will be able to have an unbiased
Hmm.
view of how this thing should operate.
Let's move down the road a little while ways, and we're
Okay.
past the energy, and we're all excited about our new idea, and we're 1.5 years into it, and we are able to make food on the table, and the launch is over, and now it's time for the grind. And why do founders struggle between those, like going from startup to the next phase?
Because they've never been there, right?
Ah,
It's all a brand new world to them. And the support mechanisms that they need aren't there. They're not
Mm-hmm.
available.
Mm.
They pretty much don't exist. Once you get past the incubator accelerator level, there's not much in the way of support for you as you go through the development of your business and into launch and full scale operations. So that's where my factory concepts come,
Really?
right?
How
Yeah.
so?
Well, the factory doesn't get involved in what we call the discovery phase, where you're trying to find all this stuff. This is the who, what, why, all that kind of stuff. We assume that if you've been through an incubator or an accelerator, you've got a fairly good grasp on that. Um, and so from that point on, we help you then to define your business a little more precisely and go through the development processes that you need to get everything in place, and then into the deploy phase. That
So,
typically that
yeah,
typically takes anywhere from 12 to 30 months,
right.
right?
Wow.
This is not an overnight thing.
No.
And so
So,
our typical client
yeah.
is looking at somewhere from 12 to 30-month engagement.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So,
Yeah.
I mentioned the factory in the intro, but I didn't really give it good description. Could you give us, let's say, your mission for the factory and like what's the what's the business plan for the factory? To a little
Well,
shortened version.
sure. Well, I can it's a commercialization engine based on a factory model, right? And it it ignites the innovation ecosystem, which results in the development of companies and the growth of jobs. So that's the three things that the factory is really focused on. And the reason that we use the factory as a metaphor is that if you go in a factory and you look at a production line, you see uh, workstations. There's a certain amount of work that's done here. There's a certain amount of work and then it goes on to the next station. And in between there's a quality control check to make sure that you're ready to go on to the next station. Well, in our factory model, we have this thing that we call the readiness assessment board that from discover to define to develop, right? The board meets and makes an assessment as to whether you're ready to move forward or not. And if you're ready to move forward, you get a green light. And if you're not ready to go forward, you get a yellow light, which means you got to go back and look at a few things.
Go
And those
back
are,
three places.
yeah. Well, but that's specifically identified as you're
Good.
weak here, you're weak here, and you're weak here. So go back and look in that, and then come on back. Or it just there's just too much noise in what you're telling me, and we're not going to get involved in it. So you get a red uh,
Yeah.
type of a thing,
Red light.
and that assessment takes place between each of the workstations of define, develop, deploy.
Right. So,
That makes sense?
yeah, it sure does. So that is I was just going to say, walk us through discover, define, develop, deploy. And so from what you just said, you've got a discover workstation, you've got a define workstation, a develop and, wait, discover, define, develop, deploy. Each one of
Yeah.
those is a workstation?
Yes. And each one of
All
those has a
right.
quality control check on it
I see.
to determine whether you're ready to move forward or not.
Very cool. And they
Only,
always know where they're at.
yes.
Nice.
Yes. There's what's called a work breakdown structure, and either those, this is the work that's supposed to be done in this station. This is the work
Mm-hmm.
that's supposed to be done, and it's all tagged as
Awesome.
2.1, 2.2, 2.4, or whatever, wherever you are. And so we will know precisely where you are in the process based on what you're working on.
So, does this work well with any specific industry group or
No,
is this for any industry of business?
it's what we like to call tool agnostic and industry agnostic. That thus far, we're finding that we can take rough inputs, strengthen them out to do what we call our standardized work, uh, and get a credible workflow started, that will take you through the development stage and through the deployment stage.
Very cool. I love it. I love, love,
Yeah.
love that. So, what opportunities are coming to us in northern Michigan and emerging in the innovation driven space, especially in water?
Oh, well, yeah, the biggest one is what, Frick, the Freshwater Innovation Institute, right? You know that they're building the new building, and they're going to be a big research center. That's,
Yeah, and that's not for profit, right?
I believe it's nonprofit, yes.
Okay. How does that relate to a startup in Traverse City?
I don't know that it necessarily does, right? You know, that there are going to be things, I'm sure, that the institute, the Freshwater Institute, is going to want to see and do. And well, and if you start off, as soon as they start talking about we're going to be fresh water, then anything that's got nothing to do with fresh water isn't going to be of interest right to the Freshwater Institute. So that distinction uh, gets rid of a lot of folks. So you got to, and that's fine for what they need, right? But it's not fine for what we need, because that probably gets rid of 90% of the market for startups.
How do you mean?
As soon as I start putting bounds on what I'm going to do, if you're outside those bounds, you don't get the help. So that's why we decided we're going to be tool agnostic, software agnostic, and we're gonna do standard processes, standard work, and every company is going to go through the same thing at a high level. At
When
a
you say tool agnostic, what
Yeah,
tools?
well, Microsoft uh, Word, uh, Google Sheets, um, whatever you want to do. We can take a a business model canvas and
Hmm.
translate it. We can take something that's got a couple of paragraphs that describes it. We can take a presentation and turn it into a workflow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you are not, I call those platforms too.
Okay.
You'll take any platform, it's another term, same thing.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then you'll take any industry. And from
Yeah.
what you just said, it sounds like this not-for-profit is a big initiative for companies that are working in water. And you're not gonna ban, I mean, you're bringing all industries in, and all levels of um, industry. You're not
Yeah.
being
But
selective.
I'm primarily interested in the fresh water because that's where Traverse City is going, right? I mean,
Yes.
that's the environment that I'm going to be operating in. But that doesn't mean I'm not interested in somebody's cherry juice or
Hmm.
you know, that kind of stuff. If all I'm going to do is fresh water, there's a lot more startups in Traverse City that have nothing to do with fresh water,
Right, right.
right? I mean,
Yeah,
you know that from your Roops experience, right? You
right.
know,
Yeah, there's all sorts of people. Seems like a lot of people are moving into Traverse City and they're wanting to do consulting and coaching. I see a lot of that.
yeah, I do too. But let me give you an example of one of the things I see that I don't like.
Yeah, tell me.
And um, I see lots of marketing presentations,
Hmm.
right? and how to deal with social media and that kind of stuff,
Right.
um, and how your website ought to operate, then that's all necessary stuff. But there's no discussion about how you take somebody that lands on your website, a contact,
Hmm.
and how do you take that contact and turn it into a customer?
Right.
There's no discussion of that.
Right. It's hard.
Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. But that's the heart
Very
of it.
hard.
I mean, what are you going to market for if you can't do that, right?
Right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
hear you. I completely agree with you. 100%. And so tell me about General Motors. You
Ah,
know, I'm a General Motors rat kid, whatever
yeah.
you want to call. My dad worked for GM, retired from GM. He
Okay.
was third shift tool and die.
Okay.
He
He's a
was like,
factory guy.
yeah, factory. If the
Yeah.
line went down, he went in to fix it. So he
Yeah.
was machine repair. And so he spent a lot of time like twiddling his thumbs, but then when it was time, everything went to a screeching halt and the shop was down because the factory, like the assembly line had a
Yeah.
cog broke.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That was his job. And so I still get my good old GM discount, even though he's dead.
Yep.
And my brother retired from there too, growing up in Owasso, right outside of
Oh,
Flint.
yeah. I know where that is. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have big in my heart for General Motors. And tell us the lessons that you learned there that have to do with what you're doing today.
Well, what I like to say in a couple of sentences is that I went to work for GM because they paid me $20 more than any other offer that I had. $20 a month, right? Which
Wow,
in,
right?
in those days was a fair amount of money, right?
Sure.
Um, and when you spend that much time in a large organization like that, in a staff function, you end up with 6, 8, 10 careers, right? So as you get moved around, you learn different things and you get exposed to lots of different things. The other thing that was best from General Motors is I went to night school there, and I got my engineering degree, and I got my master's degree paid for
Wow.
by General Motors, right? All I had to do
That
was I just had to
that's
get good grades,
hard.
right?
So you worked all day and
Yeah,
then went to college at night.
yeah,
Oh, how long did that
and
take?
had 3 kids.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's a bit of a function of how serious I was. You can see in my grades, right, where I got married.
Mhm.
Because I was uh, pretty cavalier in my single days as to getting through the classes and that kind of stuff. And I'd take 1 or 2 classes, 6 hours, 8 hours, something like that. Uh, and I would avoid everything that was on Friday night. I wouldn't schedule anything for Friday night because then it was, social night.
Right.
Um, and then I got married, and I started taking 18, 21, 24 hours
Wow. And working full
courses.
time.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
incredible.
Well, that it was apparent that I needed to get on the stick
Wow.
and get myself going where I was going.
That's
So
real. I
yeah,
really respect that.
makes a big difference.
That's huge. That had
Yeah.
to take a, was it worthwhile? Are you glad you did it?
Oh God, yes, I do it all over again. Right? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because everybody
Yeah. For
poo-poos college these days. They're like, oh, you don't need to go. It's not that important.
Well, I think that depends on what curriculum you're in.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are a lot of these goofy degrees, if you will, that
Mm-hmm.
have no commercial value once you get. But for things like doctors and CPAs,
Yeah,
the professions,
the
and the
professions.
engineers, you still got to go to college,
Well,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I just have to interject that I think it was yesterday. I was surfing the internet and scrolling, and it said, "We have a degree in happiness."
Yeah. Right.
And they were bragging about finally, there's a
Yeah.
degree, a bachelor's in happiness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, what job does that qualify you for?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea. But I
Yeah.
was like, you'd be happy all the way to the poor line.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think that's going to make you very happy, but you
Right.
go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Then I finally, what kind of engineering did you do?
Mechanical.
Okay.
Mechanical. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a packaging engineer for Michigan State, and that's a
Ah,
lot like that, but more like industrial engineering and
yeah,
logistics
yeah,
than
yeah.
mechanical, but a lot of respect for that. That's huge. So, what advice do you give founders about scaling too quickly? Is that such a thing? Can you scale too fast?
Oh, absolutely.
How?
You got two big problems. Um, One is that you start to scale, you try to scale before you're ready.
What's that mean, though?
You haven't,
How
well,
do
it
they
means
make that mistake? I mean, what, you get too many
you haven't,
clients?
yeah, you haven't stabilized your operations sufficiently and so what you end up doing is you take the chaos that you've got in the development phase.
But how do you
And
turn a client away? How do you stop that?
how do I stop what?
How do you stop scaling? Like, to me, that's just revenue and growth, and I'm just it confuses me because I've heard it. It's like, you want more business, but you've got too much, and so you just have to stop answering the phone.
Well, it's an interesting question because I have a client, a score client, right?
Yeah.
That his problem is that he's successful, right? But if he could only find a 28-hour day, he'd really be in good shape, right?
Mm,
And so what happens is that um, he's frustrated. He's having problems keeping everything up in the air and going forward. Um, and when that happens, you have to step back and make an assessment of where you are and what you are. And
mm,
typically you find a couple of things. The biggest one probably is that your financials are great for bookkeepers, but they stink for managing your business because
right.
it doesn't give you the right information, right? So
Mm,
you have no idea where you are or where your time is going. Uh, if you get that squared away, you will find out that I'm wasting time on this thing because it's not making me any money, and it's impacting all of my other businesses, right?
mm-hmm.
So you kind of you have to take a look and say, well, yeah, but I really like this new initiative, and I say that's fine. Put it up on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
Get your existing business scaled, right?
Right.
With the same processing and that kind of stuff. And then when you've got that under control, bring in the other one. But something's got to give. 28-hour days are not sustainable,
No,
right?
no.
So, yeah, you have to take a pretty tough analysis.
So it kind of made me think of back in the day when a product back at IBM in my IBM days, they would announce a product and there'd be a lot of demand for it, but the delivery date's a year out. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you just keep those clients sort of let them be, no, hey, yeah, we're going to do this, but it's not going to be available for 12 months.
yeah.
And is that an approach that would make sense here?
Personally, I don't like that.
No?
But well, what is in essence, let me back up a different way. when I was young, that was the way you did it, right? You established a demand for your product so that it could justify the continued development of it inside. Um, and it wasn't unique to IBM. I mean, that was pretty much industry standard stuff. Uh, then you run the risk of somebody buying into it early on, but you're not ready, and so they have to wait 6, 8, 10 months to get it. And in the meantime, you're compromising their business for some reason or another. So I think the change in the business world from being internally focused to being externally focused got rid of a lot of that, right? And the mantra these days is, how do you get the unmet, how do you meet the unmet need of the customer? Why are they buying what you're selling? And understanding that and bringing that forward rather than I got the answer. Let's hope some people will buy it. Right?
Right. Yeah, you gotta get the needs analysis done. And so, what advice do you give founders when they are going to come up to Traverse City and they got their big idea and they've got this vision? How do you know if they're a good fit for North Coast Jobs Factory, a good fit or not a good fit?
Oh, we have an entrance requirement.
What's
Right?
that?
You can't just walk into the factory and start. You have to demonstrate that you've got your business sufficiently defined that it's worth going into the factory.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it like they have to have revenue?
No,
No?
no, no,
What's the
but they have to.
criteria?
Well, the basic criteria is that if you got a business model, you're gonna get in, right?
Hmm.
Not necessarily a business plan, but if you got a business model, the who, what, when type of a
Right.
thing. If you've gone through that, um, we have an assessment criteria, a rating of 7 different things from 1 to 5. And on average, if you want to get into the factory, you have to score higher than 2
Hmm.
out of the 5. Okay.
Well, will you tell me and the audience what you consider the difference between a business plan and a business model?
Sure. A business plan is how you are going to run your business. Let me see now, what, why, who, and how of running your business. Then you take that business model and you apply where and when. That becomes your business plan. Okay, so
Okay.
it's two separate operations. And the reason for that is that um, in your business plan, you have to make a decision as to where you're going to take your business. Like going into medical devices, as an example, which you're very familiar with, right? Um, or be going into an industrial site or going into defense, all great big huge customers, right? You can't do all three. You have to focus in on one, but the basics of how you're going to run your business remains the same as you go to either one of
What
these
do
things.
you do first? The
What
plan
do
or
you
the
do?
model?
You do the model.
The model first.
Yeah. The
And then,
model is the output from the discovery phase.
oh, okay.
The business plan is the output from the second phase, the
The
definition phase.
develop phase or
Yeah.
the define phase.
Or let me make it even more abstract. It goes, um, you define your business model, you define your business plan. Your business plan breaks down into projects. Those projects have to be put into place and brought together and integrated to get you to a point where you can deploy.
Well, I can see why you really are um, good at bringing people in and explaining and process and working it through. Have you, I know you have because you've had just tons of companies that you've worked with. Do you have a company you're willing to brag about that even in prior to the Jobs Factor in your experience that you'd like to say, hey, there's a success story that you can point to?
Um, Let me tell you why I don't make decisions on the capability of the client anymore. Okay.
Okay.
I used to do that and say, "Oh, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard," and I'm not, blah blah. Um, so when I was at Lawrence Tech, we had these two young ladies come through our I-Corps program, and they wanted to do composting in the kitchen with worms. And
In
I
their
thought,
own
yeah,
kitchen.
yeah, I just saw your face, right? And that's exactly where I was. And I said, nope, I've been wrong too many times on my assessments, right? And so let's see where this goes. And my process ought to sort out whether that's a good business idea or not a good business idea. And you know what?
Right.
They're very successful today. They're very small, right? But they they started out recognizing that they were only going to be involved in a very environmentally conscious set of customers, and that's relatively small compared to everybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
They got they made an arrangement with the folks in Detroit that were tearing down abandoned houses to the get wood. You know, there's ash and maple and all these nice hardwoods in these older homes, and so they would get that. They had their specialized worms already. They knew where they knew where to buy those, and they designed this little two compartment thing about the size of a small bread box, right? And one side, one side you put the trash in, and the worms will go to where the trash is. And when you put something in the other side, the worms will leave where they are and go into the other one, and you've got your compost.
Hmm.
Uh, and it's nice and clean and attractive. And you know, they're not $1 million business, but they're making money. You know, and
Fantastic.
they're
What a good
happy, you
story.
know.
And
So
they're
yeah.
happy and they're
So
doing
I
environmental
don't,
stuff.
yeah, I don't make determinations anymore about who's good and who's not good. That's why there's assessments and all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The process sorts it out as to who's good and who's not.
Keeps it somewhat objective.
Yes,
So, what's
yes.
your vision for North Coast Jobs Factory in the next 36 months?
Oh, wow. Well, I need some funding, but more so than that, I need 3 to 5 companies that are willing to help me sort out my processes. So
Yeah.
I hope somebody in your audience would come through and say,
Well,
I
we'll
would like
put,
to do that.
can we
Yeah.
put the application, you send me the application link so they
Oh,
can
they can just send me
respond?
an email. They can just send me
Email?
an email. Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
We'll put your
Um,
email down there.
yeah. And if they're willing to do that to assist us in our pilot programs, we'll give them a significant reduction in terms of the payments and all of that kind of stuff.
Oh, what a
So,
deal. Great.
yeah,
That
right.
sounds awesome.
And
Well,
I'm talking like 50%, you know.
oh, big.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
it's a big deal.
well, it's huge guidance. I mean, this
Yeah.
is like amazing, and we have it right here in our backyard. And so, people, like, you got to jump on this and figure out how to engage with text. And before we shut down our podcast today, hey, Tex, is there anything you'd like to share with the audience before we say goodbye?
Yeah. Well, I think I just did. My my primary need right now is to make sure that the system is operational.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we've taken one client um, and got them through the process where they've got now a work path to take them forward. But it's real herky jerky, right? And it's not nice and smooth. And so that's what we want these other companies for, to help us smooth out that pipeline, so to speak, so that
Mm-hmm.
they can go through smoother, right? And one of the big challenges is I need them from different industries and with different products or services, because everybody isn't going to go through at the same rate. I mean,
Right.
as an example, the guys that make the computer chips that
Mm-hmm.
have a 18-month life cycle, right, are very, very different in terms of what they have to do, as opposed to, let's say, Boeing making a new airplane.
Mm. Okay.
Right, right. I mean,
Interesting.
there's
Right. Yeah.
significant differences in times and
Right.
and, and all of that kind of stuff. So we're going to have, hopefully, folks going through the factory at different cadence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how we manage that, uh, that's our challenge. I'm not too sure yet how we do that, but I know we can, right?
Mm-hmm. Well,
So,
obviously, with all your track record, um, you definitely can. So we'll make sure that we put a way for them to contact you and see if they can get a hold of that assessment to put their hat in the ring.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
My email is flcriqui@gmail.com. Very simple.
There you go.
517-518-1446. They can leave me a voicemail.
All right. Not any more complicated than that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, wonderful. Well, Tex brings something that every startup ecosystem desperately needs right now: wisdom earned through experience. After decades in corporate leadership, consulting, innovation, strategy, mentoring, and public service, he's still investing his energy into helping entrepreneurs build businesses that actually last. His work through SCORE, 20 Fathoms, and now the North Coast Jobs Factory is helping shape the future of entrepreneurship in Northern Michigan by focusing not just on ideas, but on execution, sustainability, and job creation.
Yeah. Now, those last three are the big deal, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And job creation gets everyone's attention, even those politicians. They love to see us get jobs, and that just makes the whole economy much better. And as the region prepares for the major opportunities tied to freshwater innovation and the blue economy, the technology driven growth, leaders like Tex, and helping ensure founders have the guidance, the strategic thinking needed to move from inspiration to real impact. Well, thanks, Tex, for
Well, I got
joining
one, I
me.
got one more thing I have to tell you,
Okay, bring it.
because this will resonate with you.
Okay.
We have our clients as they come through the factory. They are expected to create 10 jobs within 30 months.
Okay. That sounds
Do you recognize
familiar.
that?
That sounds great. Right. Just like
Yeah.
EB5. I love
Yeah.
it.
So our projections right now is that in the next 5 years we will have generated somewhere between 50 and 100 jobs. Uh,
Oh,
you know,
that's amazing.
yeah.
That is amazing. Well, stay tuned to this initiative, the Northern Michigan Jobs Factory, North Coast Jobs Factory, I mean, because this is a place to watch. It's a fantastic conversation that we had here today, a great opportunity to spotlight something super important, and it's happening right here in our backyard in Northern Michigan, in our entrepreneurial ecosystem. And thank you so much, Tex. And I'll see
Anytime,
you.
Rose.
I'll see
Anytime.
you at 20 Fathoms.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay, bye
Thank you.
everyone.